What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Field channel, where we speak the truth, we're honest, and we give our takes on professional wrestling. It is Wednesday night, June 12th, 2024, and you know what that means. Yes, we're talking about AEW Dynamite tonight. Show took place from Des Moines, Iowa, 3 weeks away until the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Thought we got ourselves a pretty good show tonight. I actually enjoyed the show overall, just like last week. Dynamite was a very good show last week. I thought this week it was a very good show. Once again, there was a lot to look forward to heading into tonight's show and heading into next week, which they already got matches announced for next week, which is a very good thing. Heading towards the pay-per-view on Long Island in 3 weeks, June 30th, the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Tonight in the main event, we had Will Ospreay defending the International Championship against Rey Fenix in an awesome match. And they had an awesome match, basically outdoing each other. Anything you can do, I can do better. And the ending of the show with Ospreay having a stare down and stealing the AEW World Championship from Swerve Strickland. I thought that was a nice touch of intensity. I guess they got their story going for the pay-per-view now that Swerve feels like Ospreay can't carry the weight on his shoulders in AEW. And he's already got one championship. He feels like two is going to be too much for him. And honestly, in my opinion, I'm not ready for Swerve to drop the World Championship coming up on June 30th. But we got so much more to talk about outside of Will Ospreay, outside of Swerve Strickland. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here tonight on the channel. Before we get into anything AEW related on the show, be sure to go ahead and check out last night's episode of Chopping It Up, episode 7. We talked Clash at the Castle, happening Saturday in Glasgow, Scotland. I'm very excited for that show. That is going to be a good show on Saturday, and we talked about so much other stuff. Be sure to go ahead and check that out. It'll be in the last 20 seconds of the video, you'll see a box pop up with the podcast from last night. All you got to do is click on it. It'll take you right to the podcast. But of course, don't do that until you finish watching this review for tonight's Dynamite. So, let's just go ahead. Let's dive into this already. Dynamite opened up with the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, who talked about Will Ospreay and the match they had 10 years ago on the indie scene. And he's talking about Will Ospreay. And he goes into how Will Ospreay is a fighting champion. And as a matter of fact, he's defending the International Championship tonight against Rey Fenix. Although this segment had nothing to do with Ospreay, as the Elite came out and interrupted Swerve. That is your AEW Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, the Continental Champion, and Jack Perry, the Scapegoat himself. And they talked about Swerve, and they actually wanted to offer Swerve something because they reminded the fans that at Anarchy in the Arena, they took out 3 of the best in AEW. Darby Allin got hurt in the Anarchy in the Arena match. And if you guys don't know, FTR is on the shelf for a couple months now because Dax Harwood injured his lower back. They had a match on Saturday night on Collision against Claudio and Wheeler Yuta, which was a fantastic tag team match, by the way. Highly advise y'all go check that out if you haven't already. But Dax Harwood has been dealing with an injured back for quite some time now. And he's been dealing with it since the Dynasty pay-per-view when he gave a pile driver to Matt Jackson on top of a ladder and it fucked up his back. He didn't want to This is from him in the video that he made last night on his Twitter page. He didn't want to tell doctors because he felt like him and Cash were in a prominent role in AEW. And, obviously they were because they just wrestled in the main event of the last pay-per-view. And so he wanted to keep going and keep pushing. And then he said his back was bothering him a lot. Doctors took a look at it, and it was at the size of a football. So, no Darby Allin, no FTR for Blood and Guts. But the Elite say technically Blood and Guts is supposed to be 5 versus 5. So they offered Swerve a spot on the Elite's team at Blood and Guts, and Matt Jackson even gave Swerve Strickland a pair of the Young Buck Reebok shoes, which, I mean, who the fuck wears Reebok in 2024? I would have done the same exact thing that Prince Nana did, and I would have thrown that shit into the crowd, because I don't wear Reebok, and I don't know anybody who wears Reebok shoes in 2024. Everybody wears Nike, everybody wears Adidas, everybody wears New Balance. That's the shoe style to go with in 2024. But because Swerve threw the shoes into the crowd, Nick Jackson said, now our offer is we're going to give you an ass whooping. So they are pretending like they're going to beat up Swerve. The Acclaimed come out, and the Elite run off. And that's our setup. We don't know who's officially going to be on Team AEW for Blood and Guts. More than likely, Swerve Strickland is going to be Team AEW for the Blood and Guts show, which got announced later on in the show, July 24th at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's a nice breather. AEW doing the same routine they did last year with the summer. We got Forbidden Door, and then 3 weeks of build before the special Dynamite edition of Blood and Guts. And then after Blood and Guts is over, we get straight into the All-In build. And that's the biggest time of the year. Obviously, this little stretch from Forbidden Door all the way until All-In is going to be the biggest stretch of AEW this entire year. So it should be very fun. Swerve is probably going to be in Blood and Guts. The Acclaimed is probably going to be in Blood and Guts. And the Acclaimed, Caster and Bowens, have a tag team title eliminator next week against the Bucks. So if they win, they get a shot at the AEW Tag Team Championships. So with the Elite out there, this brings us to our first match of the night. The Scapegoat, Jack Perry from the Elite, took on The Natural, Dustin Rhodes, in a TNT Championship qualifier where the winner would go to the ladder match at Forbidden Door for the TNT Championship. I guess we'll go over this match. I thought the match was really good. I purposely enjoyed it. Purposefully enjoyed the match. I thought it was very physical. It got violent. And the story going into this match was Dustin cut a promo on Collision Saturday where he says Jack Perry's been talking about sacrifice and how much he sacrificed for AEW just to get spit in the face by the company and for the company to let him down. And Dustin says, you haven't sacrificed a damn day in AEW. You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, given every opportunity you wanted to. Dustin said, you want to know what I did in my career? I wrestled for 37 years. I took 2 jobs when I was younger with very little pay. For my family, the most important thing in my life, that's sacrifice. So, nice little story going into this match. Obviously, Jack Perry was going to win, and there was a lot of blood. Dustin was bleeding. Jack Perry threw Dustin into the middle turnbuckle at the end of this match. He went up to the corner and started celebrating when Dustin got in at 9. He gave Jack the middle finger. Jack hit a running knee onto Dustin Rhodes, and Jack Perry's going to Forbidden Door. And right now, Jack Perry is going to be a TNT champion come June 30th. I know a lot of people are going to want Takeshita to be the TNT champion. A lot of people love Takeshita. I think Takeshita's awesome. But I think Jack Perry's time is now. I think Jack Perry holding a championship in the Elite. You know, the Young Bucks, they're already holding titles. The Okada's got the Continental Championship. I think Jack Perry needs the TNT Championship on June 30th. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We got Roosh taking on an enhancement talent from Des Moines, Iowa. Roosh wins in 2 minutes. Roosh then talks about MJF and how disgusting he is, like all the Americans here tonight. Now, they had a brawl. The brawl was very violent. It went all through the Des Moines crowd. In the ring. It went in the ring, through the Des Moines crowd, backstage with a ton of wrestlers holding each other back. And it was extremely violent. These guys wanted to fucking kill each other. That's how violent it was, or it felt like. And this is 2 weeks in a row now that MJF and Roosh, they have just wanted to get their hands on one another and get one up on another. So I'm thinking here that we're going to get this match at Forbidden Door. We're getting it next week on Dynamite. It's going to open the show, and it's commercial free. Needless to say, I'm pumped for this match. These guys are going to cook. MJF is one of the best of the world. Roosh is unbelievable. I think Roosh is a great first opponent for MJF's first match back in nearly 6 months. He's going to have his first match in 6 months against Roosh. Roosh is one of the hardest hitters in all of pro wrestling, and I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't know if we get a sloppy shenanigan finish here. Maybe we get a time limit draw and we get a gimmick match at Forbidden Door. But they might have other plans for MJF at Forbidden Door. I honestly have no idea. But I'm pumped. After the last 2 weeks with the brawls that we've gotten between these two, this is going to be awesome. And MJF's first match, I would have loved his first match to be back in Long Island. His last match when he was the last world champion was in Long Island. I think that would have made the most sense, but hey, I'm okay with this too. Maybe they got something else planned for MJF at Forbidden Door. But with the show on Long Island, I think it would be stupid not to have MJF on the card. The question is how we get there. I don't know, but right now we got MJF and Roosh next week on Dynamite, commercial free, and that is going to be a fucking banger. That's something Sheamus would say. Banger after banger after banger. Shout out Sheamus. I love him so much, dude. 6-man tag. Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy versus Konosuke Takeshita, Roderick Strong, and Kyle Fletcher. Shout out to Mark Briscoe, man. He did not have to cut that fire of a promo for a random 6-man tag like this. I know it's not random because the stories intervene here, but man, that was fucking awesome. He got me hyped for that 6-man tag. And actually, you know what? This match had no business being as good as it was. This match was fucking great. I loved it. It was fast-paced. It was fun. It was full of high energy. It was chaotic. And at the end, The Don Callis family got it a much-needed win over the babyfaces. My only complaint is, why are we pinning the Ring of Honor World Champion in a random 6-man tag match? I think Orange Cassidy could have taken the pin in this instance, and instead Mark Briscoe took it. Kyle Fletcher got the win. Then after the match, all the heels are beating up on the baby faces. Takeshka's beating up Mark Briscoe because they're both in the ladder match at Forbidden Door. The Undisputed Kingdom, they're beating up Kyle O'Reilly, which I feel like we're going backwards with that feud. I almost can't get myself invested in that shit right there. Trent Beretta's beating up Orange Cassidy, and as Trent's beating up Orange Cassidy, Willow Nightingale's music hits, and Chris Statlander is beating her up in the aisleway. So the heels were victorious in this match and in the post-match segment. And again, looks like sooner rather than later, I would think after Forbidden Door, because Orange Cassidy's already got a match set up. If you guys don't know, Saturday night on Collision, in a video package, Zack Sabre Jr. called out Orange Cassidy. They have unfinished business from last year's Forbidden Door. They were both in the same match for Orange Cassidy's International Championship at the time. It was Orange Cassidy, Shibata, Daniel Garcia, and Zack Sabre Jr. for the International Championship. They both have unfinished business. They're going to collide at Forbidden Door. Orange Cassidy's going to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. But sooner rather than later, it's going to be Orange Cassidy teaming up with Willow to face Trent Beretta and Chris in a mixed tag match. Probably after Forbidden Door would be my guess with that one. So, what did we have after this? I always don't remember what happens in order on these shows because there's so much that stinking happens. They did play a video package for Shingo, and Shingo Takagi from New Japan Pro Wrestling is going to be in the upcoming Owen Hart Cup tournament. By the way, we have 3 names confirmed for the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament. Shingo Takagi, Pac, and Bryan Danielson. And for the women, we have Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, the defending champion from last year, and Mariah May. What I would do with the men's, Shingo is in the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Bryan Danielson has nothing to do at Forbidden Door right now. Let's do Shingo versus Bryan Danielson at Forbidden Door. I think fans would eat that shit up, and I think that would be a fantastic match on Long Island. Samoa Joe and Hook, they took on the varsity athletes. I think they're I don't even know what, the premier athletes or something like that. Tony Nese and Arya Daivari. I love the presentation of the tag team of Samoa Joe and Hook. I actually wouldn't mind if they got like a big time tag team run. I'm not saying they need to win the tag team champions, but both of them together just makes so much sense because Hook is kind of like a, tough guy character, no bullshitting around, and Samoa Joe's the same exact way. And I think Samoa Joe could bring the best out of Hook, but this is beneath them. It's obviously beneath Samoa Joe too, but I would not mind a big time run in the tag team division between Samoa Joe and Hook. I've said it numerous times here on the Big Fight Field channel that I think Hook is above the FTW championship now. It's not even recognized as a real title in professional wrestling, so let's move him up the card a little bit. Mercedes Moné, she defended the TNT Championship against Zuzix. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think that's how commentary pronounce it. Zuzix from CMLL. Match was very good. Mercedes starting to get in her rhythm. The ending of that match with the Monet Maker, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. She retained the TBS championship in a very good match. I'd still say her best match, 3 matches in, very early on, was with Willow Nightingale. But again, she's wrestling Stephanie Vacour at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. A video package played for the recent events in New Japan Pro Wrestling this weekend at Dominion. And Jon Moxley retained against Evil. And now he's going to be defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against the man who he defeated, Tetsuya Naito. So Naito against Moxley, with Naito getting his rematch at Forbidden Door. TV time with Chris Jericho. I will say, I loved everything involving Chris Jericho last week. People were pissed about the 4 segments. I loved it. And I thought it was great. This, not so much. They had special guests of Private Party. Jericho was saying how good they are, yet they don't win matches. They're high flyers, but they don't even go up to the top rope. So Jericho taught them how to go onto the top rope. And Private Party said they learned their lesson. And they said, we want to teach you a lesson. So they knocked Jericho off the top rope. They went off. They attacked Big Bill and Brian Keith. And they were the last one standing, Private Party. So I guess the point of this segment was to get a tag match out of Brian Keith and Big Bill against Private Party. And if that's the case, who cares? Honestly, who cares about that? We got the Bang Bang Gang calling out the House of Black. So Saturday night, non-title match. It's going to be Juice Robinson and the Guns against the House of Black. That should be really cool. And then the main event of tonight. Awesome stuff. Awesome match between Rey Fenix and Will Ospreay. Ospreay wins in 16 minutes. Phoenix was going for a springboard diamond cutter, and Ospreay hit the hidden blade in midair. Then he goes to the top rope, and he mocks Swerve. With looking at Swerve, he says, "Whose house?" And then he hits the Swerve stomp on to Rey Fenix with a hidden blade, and he pins Rey Fenix to retain the International Championship. So I thought Dynamite tonight was very good. I would take it over last week's, I think. I don't know. I thought both shows were really good. Last week and this week. So, honestly, that's 2 weeks in a row that I think AEW has been very good. It's been the build to the Forbidden Door has been much better than the build to Double or Nothing. I'm honestly more excited for Forbidden Door than I was going into Double or Nothing. So, that's all I got tonight, folks. That's all I got tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Field channel for some more content coming up. Comment down below all your thoughts on tonight's episode of Dynamite. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. Follow me on Twitter at Conlon_Joseph. And I will see you all in the next one, the next video. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy. And I'm out. Peace. And as always, love wrestling.